Hello, everybody. We are live.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. Today we have Myanglios with us. How do you pronounce it?
Say it again, how you pronounced it.
Myanglios?
I don't think there's a correct pronunciation.
Okay.
I usually say Myanglios,
Oh,
but I
Myanglios.
also like how Myanglios sounds.
Ah,
I like the different pronunciations. I've heard some wild ones also.
I think
One of
it's,
my friends, I don't know if
yeah.
they said it as a joke, but one of my friends has pronounced it Manjacloses.
Manjiklosi. That's pretty good. Myanjik.
Or
Okay.
Uh, I remember one time Joe was saying like if you pronounced it in an Italian way,
That's
it'd
what
be
I was
like
thinking.
Maianglioce or
Yeah.
something like that.
Myanglioce.
Yeah,
Myanglioce.
like that.
Yeah, that's pretty
But
Italian. I like that.
I always like in my head I pronounce it Maianglios.
Myanglios. Okay, maybe I'll try that if I remember. I'm so used to Myanglios now, but I mean, it's
I
not too
mean,
much of.
you can just say that. I like how
Yeah.
that sounds too.
Great. Well, today we've got Myanglios. Dang it, was it Ang or Ang? What did you say?
Maianglios.
Myanglios? Okay. That should be easy to remember. Okay. Myanglios. Okay, we've got Myanglios with us today instead of Joe because Joe is out with his, I think he's watching basketball with his kid, or he's watching his kid perform in basketball rather. Um, Pretty sure. And then
Yeah, I think that's what I remember too.
oh, okay, cool. Then we remember the same thing, then we're probably right. And so yeah, we got my Myanglios. Awesome. I think I got it. And
Yeah,
we're gonna do an awesome Don't Worry Wednesday today. I'm so happy that you're here with us again. I really appreciate you stepping in, and I also am excited to see what you've got to say today. Bring to the
sounds good.
table. Yeah, it's nice to have someone different from time to time because um, Joe and I are so often on the same wavelength that we don't get to see outside our little shells, outside our little box that we've crafted in terms of perspective and what we've seen in the world. So having a very like a fresh set of eyes, someone who's not necessarily always talking to us, but is out in their own life and experiencing their own situations and wisdom, and not communicating to the person as like on a regular basis. Like, yeah, it's nice to have that because it really brings something different to the. So it's nice to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I will say I do sometimes quote y'all whenever I'm whenever I'm discussing
I'm
topics, just
sure
because I've watched the show so many
that makes
times.
sense. Yeah, that's fair. That makes sense. Yeah, I've done that too. I quote myself. No, I mean obviously I do, but I mean more so. I used to watch a lot of speakers from stage and seminars, and I would quote them from time to time because yeah, what you listen to rubs off on you, and you take inspiration. Hi Moonlit. Hi Jimmy, and he's Nagi. And of course my wife Nyansai. Hello, hello, hello. Nice to see you guys. Um, but yeah, how's everybody doing today? How's everybody in chat? And how are you, My Anglios?
I'm doing good.
Great.
How are you?
Um, I'm doing great. Really good. Just woke up not too long ago, and I well, I set my alarm and then I didn't get out of bed, and then I finally got out of bed 4 minutes before um our normal meet time. But then I spent probably a little bit more than 4 minutes getting ready. So um probably only like 5 minutes late though. But then yeah.
I mean, I wasn't here right at 6:30, or I guess 6:30 my time. I wasn't here right at the meet time either.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, we were both a little bit. What were you up to? If you want to
Was
share.
at my university's video game development club. I'm the president
Ah,
this year of that club.
really? That's cool. Are you guys developing a video game?
Um, I mean, we're hosting a game jam right now, and the
Oh,
officers are like making a game just to make a game because we're the judges. We're not gonna judge our game in the judging, but
Okay.
like we're making a game
But you
too.
wanted to participate. Fun.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's really cool. And yeah, I guess I didn't realize that you were doing that. That's really cool. So, um, what kind of game are you guys making? Do you guys have figured it out, or is it just still brainstorm?
For the game jam, there was like 3 options for themes, and for our game, we chose light and dark is one of the theme options. So that's what we chose to do.
That's
And we're
cool.
doing like a platformer where like there's like light platforms and dark platforms, and you can click to swap which one's like active.
Ah.
Because like while one's active, the other one's like not solidly there, and you'll just like go through it.
Yeah. So sort of like so like a puzzle platformer.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool. Very nice. Very nice. Well, that's fun. I didn't realize that's really cool. That's great. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, we should do a game jam. Maybe that would be useful. I don't know. I'd have to understand what a game jam exactly is. Whether it would be not, because um, I think at the end you just kind of submit a game and they judge it, right? Um,
Yeah.
I guess it'd be helpful for like pushing us and saying, hey, what can we do in 2 weeks? Yeah, right. How long is the game jam?
Ours is like it's almost 2 weeks. It was like a day less than two
Mm.
weeks.
Hmm.
Um,
And who gets to participate?
yeah.
Like anybody from college
Oh,
or
who gets to
anybody?
participate? Yeah, anyone that like in the university that like heard
Mm.
about it and like, you know, yeah,
Okay,
anyone can just go and participate. They don't need to be like a member of the club.
cool. But they do have to be a member of the university.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like blocked to other people, but like it was only sent out to
Got it.
people
It
in the
was only advertised.
university, so
Yeah. Okay.
probably that'll be the only people participating.
Fair. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Cool. That's really cool. Well, I'm excited to see what comes out of that. You have to remember to share with me different things you find because that sounds interesting. I'm interested. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I'll be sure to tell you about it.
Yeah. That's thank you. Appreciate that. That's cool. Awesome. Well, yeah. You didn't get an alert for Don't Worry Wednesday. YouTube, you know what? YouTube just fell short on that one. I'm sorry, Moonlit. Glad you ended up here anyways. That's good. No one responded to my question. How is everybody in chat today? You guys just ignored me. You're like, nah, we don't need to tell him. You do need to tell me or else I'll ban you. I'll find you and I'll ban you from this chat room. Okay, I wouldn't do that, but oh, the server told you this. Ah, I see. For the server didn't give you an alert for Don't Worry Wednesday. I suppose I should maybe just put one in there myself. I'll do that real quick. Give me a moment and I'll say, hey guys, we've got you. Copy the link. Go. Oop. I'm getting there. I'm struggling to get there. Our picture is still the Halloween theme one. That's kind of fun. We didn't change it back.
Yeah, I mean, Halloween season is like, I mean, pumpkin is still like relevant for
Yeah, a
November, I
pumpkin
feel
pie.
like.
I will have pumpkin pie right now if it was offered. Absolutely. There we go. Live stream. Okay. And go all the way to the bottom. Okay. Hey, it's a don't you worry about the thing Wednesday. Thank you for considering joining. Do it. Angry, happy face.
Ooh. Jeffrey says they are doing well, enjoying while multitasking,
Awesome.
and Jimmy and Izanagi both say they are doing good.
That's awesome. That's good to. I didn't see you, Jeff. Hey, how you doing, man? Nice to see you. Apparently, there's a at Stream Squad, but I don't know how to tag it. I guess it's at Stream Squad. Okay. At Stream Squad. I'm just gonna press enter and see what happens. Okay, I totally didn't even work. Whatever. That's weird. I think you maybe have to be the bot in order to at Stream Squad, and if you're not a bot, you can't do it. Who knows? Oh well. No big. Huh. Okay. We got it.
Cool.
Yeah, you're honestly, Jeff, you've come and you came right at the beginning, basically. Not 90 minutes behind tonight. Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah. All right, so hey, do you want to do a topic?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Hey guys, also I just want to say we are still low on topics, but we do have 2 topics we can do. Another person just submitted one, so thank you so much for whoever just submitted one. Oh, it's Moonlit. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Moonlit. But we're always happy to receive more, so you can just go ahead and type it in the chat, or if you want to send it through don'tworrywednesday.com, especially if you want to be anonymous about it, that is the way to go. But since we got this one from Moonlit, I'm gonna quickly process it before we start on topic here.
Okay.
Is this would you like us to do this one first? Moonlit, do you have to go soon? I know that the other one is from my wife and she's gonna stick around. I just want to know about your time, if you've got time, if you want us to do yours first, if you're ready for it, or would you like us to do yours second? I'm gonna leave that choice up to you. And if you don't make the choice, I'll make the choice for you. Not gonna like what I have to say. That's not true. You're probably gonna like what I have to say. But I wanted to give it to
you. Moonlit says make the choice.
You want me to? I even tried to put a thread out there to make you do it, and you still didn't do it. Yeah, I can do it. I can make the choice. One more second as I finish curating this up a little bit.
Also, we're not professional.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I totally didn't do that. Yeah, go for it, man.
Or radio hosts, or race car drivers.
Tell them.
Or college professors.
Right.
or anything of that nature. But we just want to be your friend and help out in any way we can. I think that's how the disclaimer goes.
Yeah, thank you. That was basically the summarized perfect version, where you got every nail on the head, but you didn't have to like add way extra fluff like we do for no reason.
I mean, I added a little bit.
Yeah, but only a little bit. You did the race car stuff. That was actually pretty good. That was a good fluff. I like that part. And we aren't professional. I almost say college students. Teachers. The other thing. That's right. Professors. Yeah, you did add fluff. We just take way longer to say it, I guess. We're just really slow. We say all sorts of extra stuff. But this is good. You know how to condense things better than we do, and I appreciate that about you. So,
thank you.
I have got the topic curated. Wait, I didn't press the... Oh yeah, I did. Okay, yeah, I do have curated. And I think we're just going to start with this one, Moonlit. Is that all right? We're just going to start with yours. Because you're here right now, and I feel like that's a nice thing. And I know my wife is probably just gonna be hanging out with me in the room, as we do. Don't worry, Wednesday, anyways. So. All right. Yozoa, oh my gosh, Yozoa. Hey, you submitted one too? Fantastic. I'll go ahead and curate that one after we do this topic. Thank you so much. Okay. Nice to see you, Yozoa. Long time no see. You're doing awesome. Really nice to see you. Yeah. It's been so long, I know, right? I have a beard, I have a mustache right now. I have glasses. They're not new. They're the same ones, I'm sure. These glasses are like beyond 7 years old. But anyhow, my glasses are older than some people in my family. That's pretty great. If I change my glasses, they'll be like, "Who are you? I've never seen you like not with those pairs of glasses on." Such a long that's funny. Okay, anyways, yeah, we should do this topic. I'm excited to do it. I didn't read over it fully, but I've got the gist. So thank you so much, Moonlit. I really appreciate you, and I think highly of you. So I'm interested to see what you got to say. I'm gonna go ahead and put this topic on the screen and see how it goes. This is from Moonlit. I've titled it "Complacent," and it reads as follows. I'm beginning to fear that I've become complacent. I don't like how I've stopped trying to do things productive. My university course feels easy because I've got so much more time that I'm not active. I'm procrastinating on assignments that are hurting me long term. I've been job hunting, but after the summer, I'm beginning to lose hope. I don't think anyone wants to hire me at this point. People have told me to be persistent, but as time goes on, I'm struggling to continue this state of going. From Moonlit. Thank you, Moonlit. This is great. This is actually really great. I'm happy that we have someone else here who's in college currently. We just talked about that. Who might be able to feel that with you a little bit more closely in proximity and give you a little bit more of a buddy response. I think that's really great. So I'm happy that you're here with us for this topic, my Anglios, and I'm interested to see what you've got to say. I've definitely been complacent in my life and noticed many times. I've definitely, unfortunately, driven people to become complacent, although it's not necessarily my fault entirely, but I've definitely been one to help people enter that state. I've seen my mom do that as well, and my wife has been in that position as well. But yeah, I think a lot of us have been complacent at times in our life, and it's really great, Moonlit, that you notice. It's really great that you care enough about it that you're talking about it. I think that's huge. That's really big. I mean, that's so important. I think many times when people are complacent, they don't realize it. So, or they just call themselves lazy or whatever. They don't really key in on what's going on. And it seems like you've kind of already tackled a little bit about what might be causing it and so on. So, yeah, I think this is a really great topic. Thank you so much, Moonlit. And I'm excited to see I'm excited to see what my Anglios has for you. So with that said, Anglios, show's yours.
Okay, I have some initial thoughts, but could you also in Discord send me the topic
Oh my
so
gosh,
I can
yes. No, that's really
refer
great.
back to it in case I
Yeah.
forget
No,
what
that's
some of it is?
really helpful. I usually do that, so I really appreciate that you said it. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm going to quickly put this.
I have been struggling with this myself. I've never really thought about like complacency, but like procrastinating on assignments. Like, I feel like most of my assignments I'm doing like the day that it's due, or like I'm doing just the most recent due thing, and then as soon as I finish that, it's like there's something due the next day, and like I don't do good at working ahead on stuff. Uh,
Mhm.
I am like in the like first half of being in university, so I haven't really started job hunting yet. But some of my
Sounds
friends have talked about, who are like a year from graduating, or they're like seniors, have talked about like applying for jobs and not getting anywhere. And like I have a tech major, mine's computer programming, and like my friends like applying for like tech jobs, it's like, they've applied to like several places and aren't getting hired anywhere,
mhm.
which, you know, hopefully they'll get like something by the time that they graduate, but like, you know, I've definitely heard about like other people having this same struggle that you're going through. Um, if your university has like job fairs, which if they do, you're probably already going to them, but if your university has job fairs, that might be something to look into. And I've heard that like for an internship or something, you should apply before going to the job fair. That way, like whenever you go up there, you can be like, "Hey, I've already applied." Oh, I see, Moonlight, here you said, "I thought getting a job would help me, but it's hard to know because I've never had one." Are you saying you've never had any job, or you've just never had like a career job in your career field? If you've never had like any job, you might like just in the meantime while you're working on getting your career job, you might get like a lower level job first,
Mm.
just so that you have a job while you're like applying for your career job.
Yeah.
Oh, you've worked for family and babysitting. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. You're still young. I mean, it's expected that you wouldn't have had very many jobs or
Yeah. I like haven't really had much of a job. I work at my university's tutoring center, but like that's a little bit more of a chill kind of a job.
anything. Yeah.
You say you've been trying to get hired at retail or stuff. Okay.
Mm.
I see. Yeah. I've heard from some people that even the lower level like job market is kind of hard, at least around where I live.
Believe that.
Uh, Hmm. Trying to think of something that would be helpful in this case.
Mm.
I mean, definitely don't give up, even as
Fair.
things aren't going well. Don't just retreat into hopelessness. Like, even if this doesn't work out, you know, just just find what your next step is going to be wherever life takes you. Like that one Static P song, we never know where this life might take us. So, you know, hopefully, you're able to get a job and there's not too much um struggle that happens there. Like, hopefully you're able to get a job before it's like a problem that you don't have a job. but either way, just keep going, see where life takes you, like work, try to get things going in the direction when you want to go, but like accept that things aren't always going to be easy. Sometimes things will be hard, but gotta keep going with that. And then on complacency, that means, just to clarify, complacency means like just not like trying to move things forward, just accepting things being at like a mediocre level or something like that.
Yeah, there's a certain degree of comfort with less.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I
Yeah,
think I see there. There's
yeah,
nothing wrong with like accepting things how they are and like being okay with things as they are, but the difference between just accepting things and being complacent is like accepting things is just like, you know, you accept things as they are, but you're still going to like work toward whatever goal you have, or like making things be better, but you aren't going to be s- like beating yourself up about things being the way they are. Whereas complacent is like things are fine the way they are, and I don't
yeah,
feel the need to try to make anything better.
yeah, yeah. There's a yeah. That's a good way to.
Which sometimes, taking a break from, especially if you've been trying to move things forward like for a while, sometimes taking a break to just, you know, take a break from putting a bunch of effort into stuff is fine, especially if you're in university, like just, you know, doing your assignments is probably a lot already. Like I can relate to that. And like, especially if you've got like a month or a week of like a heavy assignment load, like that might be a time to just put other stuff on hold and just, deal with your assignments and give yourself some time to breathe. But whenever you have the time and the energy, like it'd be good to not just stay in complacency and like recognize that you want to do more, like achieve more, be more productive with achieving your goals or whatever. And that like whenever you have a chance to do so, you won't just stay in complacency and you'll actually act at doing so.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's what I have for now. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, if nothing else, at least it's one that knows they're not alone. Because I mean, it is something that I think is a common struggle in college. It's a common place to end up, and I think part of that is just you've got all of these assignments and you don't get to pick them, and it's kind of like university is a job, um, where you have higher ups telling you what to do all the time, and you're trying to get it done. Um, that is definitely some people's experience at jobs. So, you know, I think there's a couple of things I want to talk about here. Um, One thing is complacency. So let's start with that. I don't necessarily know where complacency stems from, but I have a suspicion that complacency, at least probably 95% of the time, stems from self-centered lifestyle, self-centered thinking. And I don't mean being selfish. It's self-centered, meaning you are thinking about yourself a lot. And if you're thinking about yourself a lot, I think that's oftentimes how we end up in a position where we become complacent. Now, that's not always the case. Like I said, I don't think this is always the case. And I don't mean to try to call you out. I'm just trying to do my best to help you figure out how do I get out of this? And I don't know if you're thinking about yourself a lot and you're feeling down about what's going on in your life. But I find that a lot of times when we become complacent, that's sort of our mode of thinking. We're kind of down about our life. We're not happy with something, but we're also not feeling motivated enough to get out of it. I mean, that's really kind of what complacency is in the first place, right? A lot of times that's kind of what it boils down to. Not being entirely happy with where you are, but also not being motivated enough to make a change. And both of those things require a certain amount of self-awareness. And self-awareness is naturally good. Without it, humans won't be human. And it's normal to think about yourself. It's normal to be self-centered in terms of like, you're the only person in your life that you can control the body parts of. And you're the only person in your life who you think for. You're the only person in your life experiencing your dreams. You're you. And so it's natural to become interested or focused on yourself. And it's not bad. But I think it can become bad when it creates a spiral of self-destruction. There's something I've talked about, I figured out a really long time ago. I was probably about your age. And that was the fine line between being depressed and being egotistical. I'm not saying you're depressed, but a lot of times depression, not all the time, but a lot of times depression is essentially having two habits. The first one is you're habitually negative about yourself specifically. And the other habit is pretty much everything going on around you is about you. You make everything going on around you about you. And so what happens, if you have those two things together, everything in the world is about you, and you're always negative about anything that has to do with you. And so that creates the spiral of self-destruction. That creates depression. But if you only take one of those things and change it, what's interesting is, let's say you take this thing where you go, okay, I won't be so negative about me. Let's say you fix that, but everything in the world that's going on is still about you. Well, then you become egotistical. And if you have met egotistical people, you'll find that they are on that brink of depression and egotistical all the time. You will see them flop. One day, they're like super high ego and they think the whole world's about them and they shut other people down. And then the next day, you look at them and they're just depressed. And you're like, what? Dude, it's because you're juggling, you're not fixing one of the other key components, right? The other habits. If you fix the other habit without fixing the negativity, I don't even know if there's a term for that, but there's a pretty common state among people to be just negative. And even though they aren't thinking everything in the world is about them. Now, I'm not saying that you're depressed or you're egotistical, but I'm trying to point that there's a habit here, and I think it relates to looking at the world and kind of being trapped in your own mindset. And that's causing you to be complacent because you're not capable of motivating yourself to get higher places. Unless you are. But if most people probably aren't capable of motivating themselves to higher places with just the way that they think or activities that they do. But if they ignore motivation and seek after something, motivation comes as a reward. And that's something we always have to remember. if you're relying on motivation to do things, you're putting the cart before the horse, right? Your horse is running into the cart. Why? Because motivation is a result. Motivation isn't a sensation. It's a feeling. It's an experience. And you can't just wait for an experience. You can't just wait for an emotion to come out of nowhere to decide for you finally that, oh yeah, I'm going to do something today. Right? And so many times you have to take action, and that action will push things forward. And when you see some momentum, you'll finally have the emotion, which is called motivation. And then the motivation will keep you rolling, right? So you want to use that to your advantage. Now, I think that ties in back into this complacency thing. If you're feeling like you just don't have the motivation to move forward and nothing is burning you in your butt, right? You finish assignments at the last moment, right? You are, you're job hunting, which is awesome. That shows that you've got some control there, and that you're breaking outside of your complacency to hunt for jobs. It's awesome, but you're kind of losing hope. That's fair. But it sounds to me like you've got some places in your life that aren't complacent, and you've got some places in your life that you are complacent. I think that's completely normal. That's very common. But if we're talking complacency for your assignments or school in general, or even just getting out there and doing job hunting because you're losing hope, you always got to remember that complacency is like that circle where you're trapped in yourself. And you're waiting for yourself to be motivated, but you are waiting for yourself to be motivated so that you can be motivated so that you don't have to wait anymore. It's like you're just in a circle, like walking around in a jail room, and there's nothing with you in that room to motivate you, and you're just like, I got to break out of here. Because, it's like there might not be anything in that room for you. And so you kind of have to get outside of yourself, right? So in order to remove complacency from yourself, I've had this experience with many people. I'm just going to give you an example of one. There was a girl I was dating for a long time, almost 5 years, might be 5 years. Anyways, she had some problems where she became complacent. And I recognized one of the main reasons, one of the main components of her complacency was our relationship. And it wasn't that I was doing things for her. It was more so that she knew that no matter what she was or whatever she did, she had me to fall back on for emotional support and love and acceptance, etc. And so because I was kind of putting her in this position of unconditional love, she didn't, when we first started talking, she was super moved to she was doing, she was moving forward in her career, which was being a nurse. She was doing that so that she could move to America. So she was also doing some stuff right there. And she was working on her weight problems with diet and so on and so forth. And she was making great movement in all of those things. Then we started dating, and after about a month or two, all that fire that was under her to do all of those things got snuffed out because her motivation was kind of just erased because she just felt fulfilled. She felt fulfilled where she was, and so she didn't need to pursue those things anymore, even though all of those things were good for her. And in the back, she would say, I want to do those things, but the motivation just wasn't there. After a long time, like I said, 5 years, I noticed it, and I was like, there were other reasons going on as well, but nothing scandalous, but we ended up breaking apart. And she was very hurt. She was in a lot of pain that I had broken it off with her. And it was like literally a week later, she started messaging me hey, I started up my college again. And it was like 2 weeks later, oh my gosh, I went to the hospital. I found out that I have thyroid issues, which is what's causing my blah blah my problem with weight, and I'm working on it. And it was like three weeks later, and she's like, just everything's moving for her again. And I re-talked to her after like a couple of months went by, still moving. A couple more months, still moving. A couple more months, she's finished her, she's finished her program. She's waiting for the test results. A couple more months, etc. She's just moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. And so my point is, sometimes something is taking that fire out from. Sometimes we're using something and taking advantage of it and taking it for granted. And when we take things for granted, we become complacent. That's very often the case. When we take things for granted, we become complacent. That was my mom's relationship with two of her husbands. They took her for granted. They became complacent. They just kind of quit their job and just sat on the couch all day and watch TV. And were taking advantage of her. And they weren't proud of what they were doing, right? They weren't proud of what they were doing, but at the same time, they just became complacent. They had no motivation. It was completely snuffed from them. So certain things in your life might be ripping the fuel, right? Might be ripping the fire out of your fuel, snuffing it out. Might be taking all the oxygen out of the room, and maybe you've got plenty of fuel, plenty of reasons to run right now, plenty of reasons to apply yourself, but you just feel like, meh, there's just not enough oxygen. There's not enough energy. There's just not enough something. And maybe something's snuffing it out for you in your head. Because in reality, there's no reason that my mom's husbands couldn't have worked, right? There's no reason that they should have felt drowned out by anything. But in their own head, they were. In their own head. What happened after my mom left those two husbands? I mean, for very good reasons outside of just this, I want to say. They got their act together. One of them decided to start up their own business and start pursuing that, and they did that for the rest of their life. That was my dad, and did pretty well. He stopped, for a long time, many years, he stopped being an alcoholic. Awesome. Got his act together. He started thinking about his, he didn't realize he had ADHD, and then he kind of figured it out through some conversations with my mom, and then he got on Ritalin. Like he moved forward. Because that reliance that he had was removed. The thing he could rely on, the thing he was taking for granted, the thing he was taking advantage of, the thing that he was not being grateful for was removed from him. All of a sudden, now there's oxygen in the room for him to use fire. And so I would say maybe look out for that. Maybe look out to see, Moonlit, is there something in your life that is snuffing out the oxygen, even though it has all good intention, all good meaning? Is there something in your life you're not grateful for? Maybe it's your position. Maybe it's that you didn't have to pay your way into that college, but it's being paid for you. Or maybe it's, I don't know, it could be many things that maybe you're, and I'm not trying to point a finger at you. I'm just trying to help you find out what's causing you to be complacent. A lot of times it's your own thinking. So the question is, if it is something snuffing out your oxygen, do you have to remove it? Or can you just change your thinking about it so that you can move forward? Can you just look at it from a new lens, or learn to be more grateful, or etc.? Change the way you're thinking about it. Now, Moonlit, you're a thinker, and I know you are. So, yeah, I'm going to university for free. Okay, so I don't know if that's part of it. I don't know if that sort of notion is in your head and messing with you, but it could be. Maybe you feel, this is a lot of times is how you feel. feel undeserving of something, but reliant on it. And that drives complacency. If you feel undeserving, but at the same time, you know that without it, your life isn't your life where it is right now, right? You are reliant on it. So you're dependent upon it, but you also recognize that you're undeserving, or you didn't. Maybe you did do something for it. Maybe you did really great in school, in high school, but maybe there's some of that. Maybe there's not. I'm just trying to give you ideas. Now, the reality is, if that's how you feel, like you don't deserve something, I really think it's important to recognize that no one deserves anything, because in this life, we get right from the beginning, we are fed by our mothers and our fathers, and we are given a house and a roof, and we have done nothing for them and to deserve that. And we wouldn't be alive today. None of us would be alive today if we relied on what we deserve in order to have something. That is gift. Gift is love, and love is more real than deserve. By many times, it's real, but deserving is just an idea. And ideas, if your mind is made up of if your foundations are ideas, like I have to earn it in order to have it, I have to earn it in order to accept it into my life and be willing to use it. Because a lot of times if we don't feel like we've accepted something like a gift, we also don't feel free to use it for our advantage. It's not like you want to take advantage of things, but you get what I'm saying. You can't use it as a tool to make your life and the people around your life better, which is important. It's important to attempt to make your life and the lives around you better. And you have to utilize the tools you've been given. And everything's a gift, whether you've deserved it or not. And so sometimes you have to look at things and be like, I have this opportunity, and it's so awesome. I've been so gifted. I'm so thankful. And sometimes that's all you need. And that complacency kind of moves you, and you can start moving forward again. Maybe that's not the issue. Maybe this is a dead end. There's a lot of reasons here I'm trying to throw at you, but hopefully something catches, or maybe a mix of things, to help you identify what's causing the complacency. Because the complacency doesn't just manifest out of nothing. It's usually something in our environment, or something in our thinking, and usually both, a combination of both. And it's up to us to either push forward regardless of it, which you have been doing, so good job. But that's not enough, because sometimes pushing forward through it doesn't change our thinking about it. So then it's also up to us to figure out, why am I this way? What in my environment, what in my thinking do I have to work on? What do I have to come to terms with? What do I have to accept and come to terms with? Or what do I have to use? Or what do I have to say that doesn't belong? That sort of thinking doesn't belong in me, because it's not useful, etc. So I hope something I've said is useful for you, Moonlit. And if nothing I've said is useful, I hope that during this conversation you thought of things outside of what I've said that has been useful to you. Sometimes just talking about things starts to move us forward. And I'll tell you what, Moonlit. I used to listen to CDs that were motivational CDs, and they work. But the problem is, it's very self-centered, because it's all about what you're going to get out of life, which is okay. It's important to know, to want things out of life. It's important to have desires. Those are good things. Desires aren't bad. But it's also very smart to have a purpose that's outside of just you fulfilling yourself. Because if you have a purpose that's only just you fulfilling yourself, eventually you come to the conclusion that that's in vain, because one day you're going to die and it doesn't even matter. And you just achieve things and have experiences, and I think that's okay, but like that's not fuel enough. You experiencing things isn't fuel enough because you've had experience, you know, and you're just like, sometimes they're hit or miss, or, you know, whatever. At some point, if you start to go downhill, so will all of your motivations, because they all rely on you. But if you can get motivations that are outside of yourself, things, you know, you have your relationships, you have a really important relationship, probably, that you want to do well for. Those things, those can be motivators. Those can drive you out of complacency, but also put you in complacency. You have to pay attention. So my point is, it's okay to get motivated. It's okay to listen to motivational CDs and things like that. CDs, whatever, talks online. It's okay to listen to things that empower you, things that make you dream again, things that make you go like, oh yeah, I wanted a waterfall in my room, like in my bedroom, and I wanted to fall asleep at the waterfall. Like I wanted to have like a house with a waterfall sneaking in the bedroom. That's so awesome. I'm doing that. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to the first, and I'm going to make it happen. And I know I need a lot of money for that, but that is my dream. You know, maybe that's it. You know, that's, you know, thinking about those things, be imaginative. Be free to be imaginative and use that to your power. Just don't get locked up in a room with yourself, because as soon as you start to go downhill, you bring yourself with it, and you have got nobody to rely on and nothing to bring you out of it. So just saying, make sure you don't get trapped with yourself. Share those dreams with others. Share the things you want with others, and get them in on it. Being a part of groups that are moving forward. Talk with people that are moving forward, and become friends with people that you see in your life that you recognize are moving forward, and you want to be like that. Because if you surround yourself with people like that, many times they're going to be the ones that pick you out of that complacency. Many times they're going to be the ones that, just by you thinking of them, motivates you to be stronger and better and push forward. But it shouldn't always be about pushing through. Life isn't about going to work even though you don't want to, right? I think that's a life many people have lived. You should go to work because it's rewarding and good. It's good for the people that you serve. It's good for yourself, and it's good for just being a thing. And it's good for economy, and it's good for it's good for so many things. And to get into that mindset puts you in such more of a strong position than just, I'm pushing through, you know, like, you know, how are you? You ask people, and they're like, I'm living, I'm alive. You know, it's much more better to recognize, like, I'm doing good in this world, and I'm doing it on purpose, and I've set out to do it, and it's working, right? And to recognize that and behold that is usually a lot more empowering, and helps us get out of that complacency, because yeah, we remove ourselves from the trap. So yeah, I mean, I've said a lot. I've talked for a long time on that, and I hope that it was useful. You said, I mean, wherever I feel like I'm getting trapped in my own head, I just go to sleep. Oh, whenever. Yeah. Whenever you feel like you're getting trapped in your own head, you just go to sleep. I've been there. Yeah, I want to recommend it, but you know, I would say, instead of go to sleep, put your time in. Not fun, but maybe you could journal instead, or you could pace in the dark like I do. I like that. You could go for a long walk, or you could, or you could just snuff it out with sleep and video games, and I wouldn't recommend that, because it doesn't get you. So, sometimes sleep helps, though. I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes sleep helps. Sometimes you do need sleep, but sometimes if you're using sleep to run away, then yeah, change that behavior, I suppose. But Moonlit, I know you're a thinker, and part of the problem might be because you think, and that's good, but it's just kind of fixing up a couple components of your thinking, I think, probably be out of this. Anyhow, that's what I got. My anglios. There we go. Sorry for talking for so stinking long. Have you thought some things that you'd like to add onto this?
Yeah, I just have a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
And first off, I really liked what you were saying. Some of that stuff, like about like d- um like finding motivation outside yourself
Mm.
and like I don't know, I kind of blanked on it, but a lot of the stuff you were saying, I feel like is relatable, like applicable to my own life too.
Yeah, it's applicable to mine too. That's why I said it. I wouldn't. It's things you discover and things that you remember you should still be doing in your own life. Yeah.
The couple things I want to add, um, first off, there's this line from the song Grow by A Single Duel, which is the duo Joe's a part of. There's this line that goes, now forgive yourself and move on if you've been slacking, because the time is now if you're gonna make it happen. And I feel like that's applicable here with being complacent. Like even if you've been complacent, like
Yeah,
don't
that's
beat
right.
yourself up about it. Just right now make the change to move forward in whatever direction you're wanting to go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If
Mhm.
like if you're wanting to get out of your complacency, just, you know,
Yeah.
take the first step, go for it, and don't just like be like beating yourself up about the fact that you've been complacent.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to add was something from chat in here. Oh yeah, Moonlit. You said it's your first year of university and you're just confused at some of the stuff that's happening. It all seems too simple. And then Nansai said, it's hard when you aren't being challenged. You need to take initiative to challenge yourself. I really liked that. And I feel
Hmm.
like, you know, if part of why you're being like you're, a problem with complacency is that like all the stuff that you have going on is too easy. And so it's, easy to be complacent because you aren't being challenged. Like, challenge yourself, find some, you know, learn more in depth uh, the topics like that you're learning in university. You could learn one more in depth that you're passionate about or that relates to your career. You could work on some personal projects. I don't know if you have anything like that going on, or you could get more involved on campus. Find something to challenge yourself with. Me
Hmm.
personally, I would pick to like work on some of my personal projects because right now, like my schoolwork's hard and it takes up a lot of my time. And so if I had some simpler schoolwork, I would take that chance to work on personal projects. But it could be anything, like even if you don't have personal projects, there's many things that you could use to challenge yourself. And
Yeah.
that's all I got.
That's great. Yeah. In terms of finding a job, um, you know, sorry, all I can really say too much is keep keep at it. Jeff showed his kind of experience when he was in college, and that was many years ago. I recognize there's a lot of things you could say are making it difficult, but talking about them doesn't change much, other than maybe recognizing what you. Actually, talking about them can change. So okay, right now, right now the environment is crazy for. Depends on what kind of job you're looking for. Moonlit. I don't know what kind of field you're going into, and I know that you've said you've applied to even real retail and things like that, and you can apply to fast foods. No problem. But right now, obviously, a lot of IT work because of AI. Things are changing, but it's not just that. Technology everywhere is changing, and it has been for a long time. It's just kind of changing more rapidly than before. But there used to be thousands of people on the farms, and then sometime, technology came along and replaced thousands of people with one person and a truck, and it's like, okay, now those thousands of people, if you want to get a job at a farm, yeah, no, good luck, because they generally, got machines for everything. They don't need you, so there was a time where it's like you could become a student of farming or something, university, and now that feels like it's gone. But the reality is that's not the right way of thinking about it, because what's really cool is there's opportunity for you, and you can be a farmer if you want to be. And it doesn't take as much as it used to. You don't have to pay thousands of people anymore. You have to figure out the startup cost, but you can work your way there by just beginning. And if you want to be a farmer, you can start with your own little lot, and expand later. You can start with literally just pots in your house. And it's crazy, but you can. And you can go to the local, whatever, the farmer's market and sell your onions. It's like you can do that. And anybody, if they are passionate about it, can become a farmer now. But if you're not passionate about it, the great thing is you don't have to be one. Where 1,000 years ago, you had to be one because it was the only job available for peasants like you. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because things are changing doesn't mean that it's bad. It means those roles which you don't necessarily want to fulfill, you don't have to, because there's technology to make it and amp it up without everybody having to do it at the same time. Does mean that jobs do go out the window and people have to find new jobs. But people also need to find passions. Life isn't just about making money. Money is a part of it. And if you can link your job and your passion, that's incredible. And I wouldn't say you're lucky. You're just smart and you're blessed. It's not always possible for everybody, but if it is, that's amazing. You can also become passionate about the thing that you're doing. If you put your mind in the right frame of mind, you can go, what I'm doing is good, and what I want to do is good. I want to do good things on this earth, and I'm doing that with this job. And you can say that about almost every job. And it's great to do that, to honor the respectable position of your job or whatever it is, even if it's retail, fast food, working in the sewers, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. True. Pretty much across the board, most jobs are good. And they're serving people and making their lives better. Hopefully. Maybe fast food isn't making people's lives better. Maybe it's making people's worse. I don't know. It is nice, though. It is nice to be able to just get food and have it immediately, time to time. So it's not good to be addicted to anything. So I guess that's what I do. Just don't eat fast food all the time and you'll probably be fine. So anyways, moving forward beyond that. So yeah, you do have like things like IT jobs and so on. Now the AI can write a stinking essay or a code for you, the same one that you would write in like literally seconds instead of hours. That's stinking incredible, and people are relying on that because it's useful and it's effective and it's smart. Why would you not do the thing that's smart and useful and effective and quick and whatever? There are reasons, but generally speaking, most people are just going to want a thing that's easier and faster. So yeah, technology does that, and AI is no different in that field. Just like the when people developed tools for farming, it's the same thing. So I recognize that, yes, the jobbing market is changing. And That's not something to be feared. It's something to take advantage of. And you are in the ripe position of being in a spot where you can take advantage of that. You're not someone who's necessarily got stuck and is unwilling to change, right? You don't have anything yet. So, anyways, I think you get what I'm saying. Sometimes you have to be creative, and I think it's important to have a job. And if you can find one, that's awesome. If you have to make your own, maybe you've got something on your mind, you just think, nah, that'll never work. And maybe it won't. If you're thinking that, you might be right. But at the same time, if you're thinking that just because you doubt yourself, I would say that's not a good enough reason. You doubting yourself is not a good enough reason not to look further into it and see if it's actually possible. So, you might have thoughts on different business ideas that you've had in the past or whatever. Look into them. There are lots of places that could be filled right now in all sorts of different environments. And they could include you using AI they could include you using this new technology, which other people are unwilling to learn yet, or things. Cheese, Yozawa says. Cheese is a great market. People are still buying it. If you want to start making your own mozzarella at home, and selling it to the people at school, I'm sure there are people who would be like, dude, you made it homemade mozzarella? Yeah, I'm up for that. Let's go. So Yozawa's cheese is great. Cheese is a great market to get into. Is it already taken? Yeah, but you can make money there. People love their cheese, dude. So, and I bet you basically nobody at college knows how to make very many cheeses. So kind of open up a stand and be like, dude, I sell cheese. Who wants some cheese? You have a really nice position of being in a position of being at a location where people are kind of stuck together. They have the resources they have, and you could fulfill some positions in that environment because you have basically at your fingertips an audience, which is an amazing place to be. Once you graduate college, you don't just have an audience next to you. You don't just have a surrounding of thousands, maybe only hundreds, whatever you have at your college or university. You don't have a bunch of people who are just confined to the same niche areas. You have your house, and that's like a couple of people. Not going to make money selling to them. So you can take advantage of what you got. I'm not trying to push you in a direction. All I'm trying to say is don't lose hope. Don't make excuses about what's going on in the environment economically, because you can use them. They're not excuses, they're tools. And they're information for you to use. They're not information that says, oh, this is why it's so hard. Well, maybe it is why it's so hard. But maybe it's so hard because you're not using it. So I just wanted to really put that out there and help you use information as a tool, not as an excuse. Just in case your brain wants to go there, just in case your brain goes like, oh yeah, because I've met a lot of people who do that. They're just like, I've met a lot of people who are not a lot, but I've met a couple of people who've been let off their jobs. They had jobs at video game companies, and they're just like, yeah, the AI replaced us basically, or whatever. And yeah, that's a hard place to be. And all the gaming companies are downsizing now because they're not getting as much money as they used to, because everyone's playing Roblox or something. I don't know. But anyways, video companies aren't doing so great. And so, everyone's talking about, oh, corporate is failing. And it's like, yeah, but guess who's doing better than ever? Indie games. Oh, interesting. Just like farming a long time ago, right? Who would profit from farming 1,000 years ago? Like the family that owned the farm, and then everybody else was just like, workers, and they make minimum wage. But now, you can see there's lots of people with lots of farms, and you can even literally go grow your own onions in your house and go to a farmer's market and sell them and make money. And that was not a thing to do very well, right? And and you could even make a living doing it. I've known people to do that, make a living just off of the farmer's market income. They grow stuff in their backyard. They don't have a huge plot of land, but they're happy doing it because they like gardening. They go out and they sell their stuff at farmers markets. They make enough for their month, and they're happy. And then they guess what else they do? They've got all this free time because they don't have to attend to their garden 24/7. They just have to look at it like, a couple times a week. And so then what do? They like do other passions like their art, or they focus on their friendships. They do housekeeping. Maybe they do other things that make them money, So point is, don't play the blame game where you're the one that is the victim. Play the game where you're using things as tools, and you're just a person in the environment, and you have the opportunities, just like everybody else does, to make something of it. And you'll get a lot farther, I think. Now, yeah, sorry, I talked forever on that, and maybe that's not useful at all to you in your position, but I sincerely hope that it is, if nothing else, but to get away from playing the victim game of being in this harsh, quote, harsh environment that we have currently going on in our world for getting a job. The reality is, it was much harder to get a job. Way, way harder to get a job 300 years ago, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way back. Way harder to get a job. The only time it was easier to get a job is like maybe when jobs didn't really exist as jobs yet, and it was just like, hey, I'm the dude in our village that repairs roofs. I put the hay on top of them. I make sure they're all patched up, and I do all the leaf stuff, and I make it nice and tidy for everybody because that's what I'm an expert on. And people give me food for it. It's great. That I don't know. Even then, I could imagine it was hard to find your place in the world, trying to figure out what do I do for the village. I don't know, but I can tell you, it's not the environment that's making it hard. It just always kind of has been, and that's okay. And maybe it's hard for a reason. Maybe it's because you don't need to be applying yourself to something, and you're being granted a gift from God, saying, "Look, I don't want you to get distracted doing this with all of your time. I want you to keep thinking. I want you to keep investing your time into college, or I want you to keep investing your time elsewhere and finding your way through. And I don't want you getting stuck over here doing this kind of work, because there's something better for you out there. Or not necessarily better, because a job is a job, but more so something specific to you, more suited for you and your life and the way that you think about things in the world and the things that you can do that other people aren't as likely to do. So, yeah, you're not in America, but yeah, okay, yeah, it's fine. That's why I opened it up to the whole world. I was like, whatever the market is in the whole world. You might be in Europe, you might be in South Africa, you might be in the Middle East or Asia. Either way, we're all being affected by whatever our current economical environment is. Not play the blame game, but to use it is the better strategy. And it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to make it easier for you to get a job right now just by me saying that, but it does keep your mind on track and make it so you don't feel like you're losing hope or give up. And that's really what I want to do, because in the end, losing hope is what will be your downfall, your ultimate demise. But if you have hope, then you'll keep trying. And if you have hope, you'll come up with new ideas, things that haven't been done before, and create new businesses that haven't been done before. So hope is important. And I don't think you're too close to losing it. I think you're a long way away from that. You're just going through a moment. Anyways, sorry, that was also really long, but I hope it was helpful. You can let me know if any felt any, like if you touched any of those heartstrings, not emotionally, but whatever, you know what I mean. Something in your head that moved you forward intellectually on this. If not, I apologize, but we gave it an honest shot. Do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
Um, I mean, if nothing else, what you said was insightful. Uh, oh yeah, Moonland says it was helpful.
Okay, good.
The only things I'll add are if your university has jobs, they might hire you because you're a student there. I think like my university kind of does that, so others might too. And then if you have a car and this is available in your area, Uber Eats or DoorDash might be a good beginner job because you don't really have to apply as long as you pass their background check and everything, you automatically. Oh, you can't drive. Okay. Valid,
You can
valid.
run.
I mean, I do think you can do it with a bicycle, but I don't know like how many orders you would get coming your way
With Uber
being in a
Eats,
bicycle.
you can choose which ones you take on, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be interesting if you did Uber Eats and you picked, like, you only do orders that are near your campus and you basically just deliver to your campus, all over your campus? That'd be an
I mean, it
interesting.
would probably, I think there's an option to select that you're gonna be using a bicycle, like instead of having a car.
Right.
In which
Oh,
case it
it's,
would probably only give you orders close by because like you aren't gonna like ride a bike 10 miles to deliver food.
yeah. Either way, we're not trying to force you into a job here. But that's a good suggestion.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do like that.
Just like ideas, like because I applied to some places and didn't get anything. I've heard that it's hard to get hired when you've never had a job
I've
before,
heard that too.
which is kind of like, how do you get in if you can't
Yeah,
get in? But
yeah.
like, so like a job like Uber Eats or DoorDash, I do Uber Eats and it was a good starter job because like I didn't have to like apply and then get accepted. I just, passed the background check and then I was in. But like, and you don't have to have a job now, but like those are some options where Ryan listed many different things. But yeah, I think that's all we got, unless you have anything else.
Yeah, that's great, Jeff. No, I mean, yeah, and I guess one silly idea is if you do think that it's the job issue where, like Anglios was saying, my Anglios, there we go, was saying, you won't get hired because you haven't had a job before. Um, no, that's a little bit too complicated. I was gonna say you could do like some self-employed stuff where you basically run your own little business. But the complication of that is that you have to. It's actually not so hard. I've done it. My wife's done it. Brother's done it. Go to and you set up a job, and it generally doesn't cost anything. You just have to put money into the account. You go to a bank and they'll be like, "Hey, I want to create an entity for my business," and then they do that, and then they help you with it, which is awesome. And then you've got your own little LLC or whatever you make, and then you run your own little self-employed business where make some transactions, and they don't have to be like through a credit card or anything, and just like literally cash is fine. Like just selling cheese, like I said. Yeah, like a cheeseburger. Yep. And then you can you can say you've had a job. I don't know if you really want to go that route, but it would work, and it's not. It sounds scary, but if you look into it, it's actually not too hard. There's you'd figure it out as you went. I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm just saying possibility. But anyways, got doors open to yourself. So yeah, don't lose hope. And if that was something you were thinking, like, but I don't know how to create my own business, blah 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 blah. We'll look into it. We have more tools now than ever to research how to do things, and it's not so bad. Most people just walk you through it. Like I said, you go to a bank and you say, I want to set up an entity for a business. They'll walk you through it. They'll do most of the work. Um, you know? So, I mean, yeah, anyhow, that's what I got to finish with. And I hope that, Moonlit, that you can move on. You can move through this complacent time in your life and feel empowered and feel ready to just do a lot of good. remove those bad procrastination habits and be excited about what's to come in your life and be excited about the life you're going to live. And I also hope that you can find a job and it's not too much longer of a search for you. But take it as a blessing however it comes, because life just is that way sometimes. So, yeah. Thank you so much for this topic, Moonlit. Thank you for being open with us and allowing us to cover it. We really appreciate you. And like I said before, I always think highly of you. So I know you're smart. I know you're going to get through it. And yeah, you're awesome. Thank you. Did it. We did one. Took a while, but we did one. Awesome. We have, thanks to Yozua and my wife, and 2 anonymouses. Wait, no, maybe 1 anonymous? Oh. Well, someone already outed themselves. One of these at least is from Yozua, if not both. I don't know. Cheese. You know, there is a topic about cheese, but we're going to leave that one, Yozua, for Joe, because Joe has a thing for squeezed cheese. And I think it'd be nice to leave that door open for him. He would love to talk about squeezed. Peace out. Peace out. Yeah. So okay. Okay, these are both really good topics. We have 2 from Anonymous. Question for Nyan Sai, do you want us to cover yours or do you want us to leave that for another day? Don't matter. Okay, I think we should do one of these anonymous ones. Now, I guess I'll just do them in the order that they came. This is a really good one and it has to do with the last topic a bit. At least something I said during the last topic. So I'll go ahead and process it. Be easy to process. Okay, that's pretty much all I have to do. I'm gonna put this topic on the screen soon for you guys. I'm also gonna give it to make sure that. Oh, let me copy this. Okay, there we go. Let me divide these so that you can read it easier. There you go. Did you get that?
Yes.
Thank you, man, Glio. It's time to do another topic. I'm going to put this on the screen for everybody to read along. This is from Anonymous. I titled it, Thinking of Others More. And it reads as follows. How do I think about others more? I always think about myself and focus on myself. How do I think about others more? I always think about myself and focus on. From Anonymous. Hey, I just wanted to say, Anonymous, if you felt ashamed of that, you don't have to. You know, that's very, very common, very normal, and I think that's a lot of people. I think that's like probably most people, and it's great that you even asked. In fact, I think it's shows a lot that you even want to about others more. Okay, it's not yours. Okay, that's really fine. Yeah, have a good night. Go to sleep, and we'll catch you next time because next time we're gonna be doing yours. So thank you for being here with us. Hopefully, unless if you're not here next time, then we might do yours anyways, and then you'll have to catch it on the back. But that's totally fine too. But yeah, Anonymous, this is a really great question. How do you think about others more? Is really important, and it's hard, I think, because you have to change some crucial things about some habits. Not easy, but it's definitely doable. I'll walk you through maybe when it's when I take my turn some things that I did that helped me. And these were things that I can share with you that were step by step stuff. But other than that, I think I'd like to hear what Yanglios has to say because I'm interested. So, Yanglios, my Yanglios, darn, I say it different every time. My Yanglios,
That's okay.
Myangloche. I'm gonna give this over to you. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you have to say because this is a hard one. It honestly is a hard one. So go for it. Maybe it isn't, but yeah, maybe it's easy for you.
Okay, I do think I will be able to think of more stuff to say on this one than the last one, at least right off the bat.
Sure. Yeah, that's good.
Um, think about others more. I always think about myself and focus on myself. I gotta, I guess, get my thoughts together for a second to
Yeah, take your
then
time.
get it into words.
Yeah, hey, no
So,
rush. Don't worry about the silence.
okay, well, first off, um, I mean, my initial thoughts are like my initial thoughts are some stuff that I've been like learning about in this college class I have called The Art of Mindful Living, that's like about meditation and mindfulness
Mm.
and stuff like that. And like generally we focus on like our problems, what's going on in our life, our thoughts and all that stuff. And to like and we're like basically stuck in our head and like to work on getting out of like your head, like always focusing on you and what you're going on, like first before like getting to like focusing on others, it might be good to practice just on focusing on not yourself by like in my class, like they say, to like be present in the moment and like focus on like what's happening in the moment as opposed to your thoughts.
Mm.
So
Okay.
in like a, traditional meditation sense, they say like focus on your breathing or something like that. But you could also be focusing on like if you're out in nature, just focus on taking in the nature. And then like when you're with another person and they're like talking to you, instead of thinking about focusing on what you're going to say next or what you're going to do after the conversation or like what do you think about what they're saying, like be fully focused on listening to them and what they have to say,
Mm.
which it takes a little bit of practice, but like with practice you should be able to get there. I think on Don't Worry Wednesday they've said before like listen to understand, not to respond,
Mm.
which kind of goes along with that. So that's like in the moment, like if you're with another person, like thinking, focusing more on them and not on yourself. And then just in life in general, like I guess learning to like value people like higher than just like what you have going on or what what you need to do. Obviously, your stuff is important, but like if someone's, you know, coming to you to talk about their struggles or whatever, like in that moment, it might be like, because that person has inherently more value as a person than like any task or whatever. Like if they're struggling in that moment, that might be a time to turn your focus to them.
Very well said. Yeah.
I think that's what I have to start with.
Yeah. No, that's really great. I think that really cuts clear to some things. I agree. Yeah. Well said. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I think we also not only just like, the topic is how do I think about others more? But I think there's more to it than just necessarily thinking about others more. And it might just be thinking about yourself less. You know what I mean? Because those are two different things. Just because you're thinking about yourself less doesn't mean you're thinking about others more. Because you might not be thinking of others, but your thoughts aren't necessarily related to you and how you're doing and what you're getting out of it and what you are feeling, etc. I think less concentration on ourselves isn't. It's not really about a balance thing, and it's not like bad to concentrate on yourself from time to time, or even always. But I think it's important how you concentrate on yourself when you do. They have a word. It's called the inner self, or I forget what it's called. But anyways, the moments where you are that person who's talking to you in your head, right? That person, who is that? And what do they say? What kind of things do they say? I think it's really important, sort of, get that person on the right page so that they're helping you, so that you aren't held up with that person in conversation so that you can't think about other people, so that you can be open to other people and receiving them and thinking about them. Because I think a lot of times we sort of get trapped in ourselves. Again, just kind of like we were talking about with as a potential reason for being complacent, the last topic. We kind of get trapped in ourselves, and if our inner dialogue isn't useful, it can distract us from being with others. It can make us less open to others. We have to be at a state where we love each other or love ourselves. And, I think that's a huge thing, to love yourself. And it's something that you hear often, even in pop culture, even in the world today, we hear love yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a good thing. But I think it's important how we define love in that context. We don't want to love ourselves above others. If we truly love ourselves, you know that phrase, if you love someone, let them free. If they love you, they'll come back, or something like that. I think you kind of want to take up the same sort of mentality. If you love yourself, you won't be bound to thinking about yourself all the time. Because if you love yourself, one, you trust yourself with whatever's to come. That's a good thing. You need that, because that's required to live in this world. Otherwise, you have crazy anxiety. And so loving yourself helps solve the anxiety that keeps you from being able to be with others when you're with others, or keeps you from thinking about others in a way that's loving and useful and not actually just about you. Because there are times where we have anxiety and we think, oh, I'm thinking about this other person. But really, you're thinking about yourself. That happens. Not always, but that happens. You're thinking about what bad's going to come out of the relationship you have with them, or what life's going to be without them, and so on and so forth. You're thinking about those things that are all related to yourself. So loving yourself is really helpful. If you're in a state of depression, which relates back to the last topic, I talked a little bit about it, that means you're probably not loving yourself. You don't see yourself in this lens of, not only do you want best for yourself, and desire good for yourself, right? You don't just, like, that is important. Like, to desire the best for yourself, to honestly desire good for yourself. That's loving yourself. I think it goes beyond that when you're willing to be free. You're not held up by what you can gain out of everything. There's this word, it's called liberality. And it's the opposite in a way from avarice. And those are two words you probably don't know. Avarice is another word for greed, right? Greed. Greed isn't just money. Greed can be physical objects, but it can also be relationships. Greed can apply to almost anything in life. Greed. You guys know what greed is. And you're attached to that greed. You know, you want those things and you can't let go of them. And therefore, greed makes you a slave to the thing you're greedy for because it controls your life. Liberality is the opposite of greed. It's true freedom. You're not attached. You're not a slave to those things. They don't control you. If you can love yourself, if you can manifest that virtue of liberality in your life about everything, your finances, you're not worried about your finances. You aren't thinking, how can I make more money? How can I get more out of this? What's in it for me? You can remove that. Remove that. Finances, relationships, like, what can I get out of this relationship for me? This person hasn't been paying attention to me, you know, blah, 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 blah. Those are greedy thoughts. You know, and it doesn't just have to be financial relationship. It can be physical objects. It could be entertainment. I didn't get enough entertainment today. I wanted more. I didn't get what I wanted. And my day is not happy because I didn't get all of the things. I didn't get to watch all the shorts that I wanted to watch on YouTube, or I didn't get to, or TikTok or whatever. I didn't get to play the game that I wanted to play today, you know, etc. It can be anything in your life that you're greedy for and you're a slave to. Liberality. Look up the definition of liberality if you can, and study it and like try to understand it and get a hang of that. Because if you can embrace liberality, it will take you away from thinking about yourself in a way that is focused on your own gains. And if you can get away from always thinking about how you want something better for yourself in a way that's actually, you're a slave to it, debilitating. Let me give you an example. You're with somebody, and Mianglios, you gave this example perfectly. You're with somebody, and you're thinking about the thing that you want to do rather than thinking about them and their problem. Even if there's no problem, you're just with them, you're just hanging out, but you're like, man, I can't wait to get away from this conversation because I want to go do this. I can't wait to, like, for this moment to end because I have other things I need to do. Or you might even be thinking, why am I even here? I mean, this person's getting something out of it because they want me to be here, but like at this point, I'm just charity. I'm just like, or I'm doing a charitable act, but like I'm not getting anything out of it. And these are thoughts that you have. Embrace liberality. It will empower your virtue of charity, where you're like, I don't want anything out of this. I'm just so happy to be someone who gives, to be someone who is in a position where I can help this person, or even if not help them, just be with them and enjoy them. And change your mind over from literally everybody's a burden to everybody can be enjoyed. Everybody has something, not just that I can gain from, but I can celebrate them in their moment. Like if you watch a child play and it just makes you smile because you're like, they're having fun out there. I'm not even out there playing with them. I'm just watching them have fun with something that I used to enjoy, and it's making me smile. Because just watching them it just fills me with joy. That's where you want to be. If you can get there, you're on the right track. It's okay to think about yourself. And maybe you don't think about others that much, but how do you think about them? How do you enjoy them? And we're talking enjoy not as like gain for yourself or your own emotions. We're talking enjoy as in, who cares? I'm happy for them. And that happiness for them just kind of relates to my own experience, but it's not something I'm looking for. It's not something I'm thriving for. I don't watch them having happy moments so that I could be happy. I watch them having happy moments because I want them to be happy, and I'm experiencing it, and it's great, right? It's like making it less about yourself and more about them. Or not even more. It's more so just kind of, I guess, in the end, changing your framework of mind about these types of things so that it doesn't relate to personal gain. So that's one of the key ingredients. To note, like, are you being greedy? Are you being do you have avarice in your heart instead of liberality? And again, look up the word liberality and try to embrace that freedom from the attachment, self-gain or self-worth or self-interest, etc. Not that you need to ditch yourself. Self-gain is good. It's not gain that's the problem. It's the slavery that takes up all the space in your mind so that you can't even think of others, right? If that's the problem, and it might not be. Again, I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know what's causing it. But if that's the problem, that's worth looking into and worth putting time into. If that's not the problem, and you're like, no, that's not me, that's okay. Try to figure out what it is that's keeping you from thinking of others. What are you preoccupied with in your brain that isn't, like, that's taking over so that you can't think about others because you're always just thinking about yourself? Like, what is it you're preoccupying yourself with? And get down to its roots and see, is that problematic? Is this thing the thing? It might not be, but if it is this the thing that's making me so removed from the people around me that I'm consumed with myself? You know, if it is, then you got to tackle that wherever that is. And if you feel like you can't just think through that, that's okay. That's normal. Journal about it. Write it down. Write down, like, your, just like ask the question at the top of the page. What is it that's blah, 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 like consuming my thoughts about me that could be used for others? You know, like what is it that's consuming me? And then, you know, about, and just like, right, what are the things that come to your mind when you're with others that aren't them, instead is about you? What kind of thoughts do you, like, why did you even think for the first place that you said, I always think about myself and focus on myself? You said that. Why do you think that? What's the evidence for that? Write down all the things that are evident in yourself that you can see. Well, clearly I'm always thinking about myself because blah, 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 blah. Like, this is clear. And write it down. And then you can just continue writing about those things. Like, well, is this the problem? Is it okay to think about these things? Or is this a distraction? And then answer that question. And if it's a distraction, say, how do I solve this? Like, what's a step-by-step program I could put myself on to rewrite this habit? So now we're going to get into something that I'm going to share with you. There was a time in my life where I was depressed. And it wasn't the first time I've ever been depressed, but I was depressed and I realized I was depressed. And this was the first time probably in my life that I was depressed, but also aware of the subconscious mind and that you can change your habits. It was the first time in my life that I was depressed and I realized that I have the ability to change this. All I have to do is perform some self-correction. And so I stood in front of the mirror. I confronted myself. I was like, dude, like, get with it. What are the problems? I talked to myself. I just stared at the mirror and I just talked to myself, not out loud, but in my head. And I figured out, okay, here's my game plan. I'm going to, as soon as I'm done with talking to myself in the mirror, I'm going to do all the dishes because they're for other people. And this was when I was living with my mom, a long time ago, years and years and years ago. was like, it was like literally like probably 1 a.m. or something. Like, but when I'm done with this, I'm gonna quietly do all the dishes for my mom, not for self gain, right? Because if I can do things without them knowing that I'm the one that did it, then there's no problem or issue with me thinking, well, what reward do I get out of this? Because as soon as I start thinking about what reward do I get out of blah, 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 I'm already in the wrong spot. I'm in the wrong frame of mind. I'm thinking wrong things. So that's not. Like, those thoughts don't create somebody who has a lot of virtue and does good things for the sake of others and for the sake of good. If I'm held up by the idea of, well, what do I get out of it if I do this? And I answer, well, I won't get anything out of it. No one's going to care or do anything or whatever. No one's going to pay me for my service. Or if I start thinking those thoughts, those are sinking holes. That's me being caught up with myself again. That's me being worried about my own well-being, my own whatever. That's me not really loving myself. That's not me with this virtue of liberality, of being free to just do things for others out of the kindness of my heart, right? So if I'm caught up in that, I'm like, wow, I'm caught up in this, right? Maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but regardless, whether I am or am not, I decided first thing I'm going to do when I'm done talking is I'm going to do the dishes for others. And for the rest of the week, I'm going to, I forget what it was now. I remember doing the dishes. And for the rest of the week, I did certain things. I was like, I'm going to keep my mind preoccupied with what can I do that's usually on my mom's chore list that I can just do for her and then just do them without her asking, without her even prompting me or whatever. I was just doing stuff like that. And by doing that, by doing the actual actions, my brain started to rewrite the way that I think about others and the way I think about myself. And literally within a week, I was out of that depression, which is amazing. Because all I had to do was stop getting sucked into this negative spiral of myself and just focus on doing good for others and not care at all about the reward. And it was like a week, maybe 2 weeks, I was out of it. Now, obviously, depending on how deep and how long you've had your depression, how settled those habits are, ways of thinking are, it's going to take longer. And that's okay. You might be at it for a month. You might be like, for this whole month, I am always going to do this for others. I don't want any reward. I'm going to look for opportunities where I can do things for people and they won't know that I'm the one that did it. I'm going to be the guy that picks up the pencil off the ground. Every time I see anything that I can do for another person that's quick and easy, simple, maybe it's just like out of my way, but I can do it. I'm going to do it. And if you commit to that, that might help. It might help you get out of yourself and start thinking of others more. Why? Because now you're already starting being in the habit of, well, what can I do for others? What can I do for others? What can I do for others? And so then that becomes a habit of like, you're always thinking, what can I do for others? Now that's not necessarily a virtue. I'm not saying you should live your life by those standards, because other people will take that for granted and use you and take advantage of you. That's okay a little bit. But in the long run, that's not, like I said, it's not a virtue, but it's a task you can do to train yourself how to start thinking about others more and thinking about yourself less. Because the virtue you're probably after is liberality, but it might not be that. It might be something else. But the virtue you might also be after is humility. That might be the thing. That might be the holdup, right? Humility. And it's not that you're less than others. A lot of people take humility as being less than others, but that's not a real virtue. That's actually just pride in another way. When you are thinking of others, but like you think high of others, but you think low of yourself, that's an issue of pride. That's not balanced. at all. That's not good at all. Like, part of that's good, thinking high of others, but thinking low of yourself is not good. And it drags other people down around you because you aren't living up to what you're capable of, or you're not talking to yourself in ways that are kind and good. And the way that you talk about yourself to others when they say things to you is negative and demeaning, and it brings everybody down. So it's like, it's a really weird influx of pride, but it's an issue of pride. And so obviously you don't want to just, the ideal isn't to be low. The ideal isn't to be lowly in such that you think bad about yourself. So you don't want to go in that direction. You want to improve the way you think of yourself. If humility is the virtue you need to chase, then that's understanding value and the value of everything in the world, and that's hard. But understanding your value and understanding the value of others around you, and that your time is not wasted when you apply yourself to others, because it creates good, and good is incredibly valuable. And love is probably the most valuable thing. And to do that, and to like regard love as super highly valuable, and to pour yourself into it, is useful and good. And it requires sacrifice, but that's something that's more virtuous, than just being in yourself all the time and looking out for you. You don't have to look out for you all the time. You really don't. You're fine. Especially the less you look out for yourself, I think, to some degree. You do want to be, obviously you want to be mindful. You want to look out for predators, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Of course. I'm not saying be reckless. But the less concentrated you are on your own like stability and stuff, the more free you are to make a stable life for yourself, because you're not held up. Find that people who are less bound to security, like being secure, having their bills paid, all of their housing, etc. It tends to be, statistically, the people that are not, statistically, it tends to be that people who chase after security, like, ride that line of being secure and not secure all the time. And they like get there and then they drop it, and they get there and they drop it, and they get there and they drop it. But people who chase something that's not security and use security as a stepping stone, generally they're the people who create incredible things in life. They create jobs for other people. They create high finance situations. They're up there. And I'm just talking about financial stability, financial security. But that happens in relationships too. If you're always focused on the security of your relationship, that is that is really painful for me to even think of. But if you have a relationship where you don't even have to think about the security of it, the being secure in it, or whether it's going to hold up, if you don't even have to think about whether it's going to hold up or not. You don't even have to think about, like, how do I have to act in order to make this relationship survive? You don't have to even have those thoughts. That relationship thrives. That relationship booms. That relationship moves forward so well. So the less you can get yourself to think about those things, usually the more happy you'll be. And the more secure you end up being, even though security is like what you dropped. So what I would say is that requires humility. That requires a certain degree of liberality. It requires a lot of things, but it requires you not think about survival so much, and think so much more about the good you can do, living and thriving, and what that is, and being that person, rather than being held up in your. I don't know if that's your issue, but I touched it anyways. So, gave you a lot to think about. I gave you some homework, maybe, but I know I covered quite a bit here. I talked for, once again, quite a while. I want to give this back over to Myanglio. There, I did it. Myanglio, sorry. I want to give it back. I'm trying to say it the way that you say it, man. Every mess up, like, every time. Give it back over to Myanglios and see what they've got to add on.
Uh, I don't think I really have too much more. You said it like pretty well. What I feel like is the some of the biggest things, working, taking like actively putting in effort to focus on others, like doing things for others to build up that habit.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, and thank you, Wix, by
Yeah,
the way.
I
Also.
I think there was another thing I was gonna mention that you said, but I blanked on that.
Aw, sorry. Well, it's because it took
But
so long.
but I think like yeah, you covered it pretty well. Love is important, all that stuff.
Yeah. Loving others. If you focus on, like, I know Joe says this to himself, he says it to the other person, but in his head, like, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love this person. Trying to convince himself so that he treats them with respect and love and kindness. Not that he wants to do otherwise. Not that he has inclinations to do damage or think anything other than that. But it puts his brain in the right mindset to be someone who's not trapped in himself, to be someone who's listening, carefully listening and attentive and intentional about being with that person. I want to say one more thing about that is intentionality. If you're with somebody, make it your intention. Even if maybe if it wasn't originally your intention, make it your intention now to be with that person. Like, that makes a world of difference for me. When I'm with somebody and I'm like, I don't want to be here, I want to be doing something else, I've got other things on my mind, I would rather be doing this, that, the other, the other thing. If I even notice myself for a moment feeling hesitant of being with that person, like being like, oh, I'd rather, as soon as I have that thought, I'd like rather be somewhere else, whatever that feels like, that feeling inside, you know what it is. If I'm like, no to myself, my intention right now, I want to be here with this person. And I declare that to myself, oh my gosh, it just like makes a world of difference. I stop thinking, I'm like, those other things will be there when I get there. Those other things will be there when I get there. My intention right now is to be with this person. Suddenly, everything in my mind just goes, like, just calms way down. And I'm like, just so relaxed, so open, and so interested in them. Like, maybe not interested right away, but a lot more relaxed, a lot more open, a lot more willing to be interested. And I just kind of let that happen. And then I'm like, all right, let's be attentive. Let's listen to what they're saying. Let's talk to them. Let's eke out this moment as best I can. Let's like squeeze it. Let's really get something out of this moment. Even if it's nothing other than I was present with them and they were present with me. Let me be there with this. Because if I don't do that, my time is wasted. I'm going to be there anyways. If I don't do that, I'm ruining that relationship for myself in my head because I'm programming myself to think this way about that relationship that I don't want to be in it. When clearly I should, like, there's plenty of good there. It's a good relationship. I'm programming myself for failure if I can't just let everything go and be honest with them. So be intentional. Declare that intention in your head. I intend to be with this person. It wasn't my intent on the outset, and maybe right now I want to go do something else. Maybe I was in the middle of something, but here they are. I'm just going to put everything to the side. My intention right now has changed. My intention is to be with them. And it might take a moment or a few tries to do it right. But when you do that, oh my gosh, that is a game changer. I don't know. Have you ever done that?
Me?
Yeah. You ever felt that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a game changer.
Yeah, it makes like conversations more enjoyable
Mm-hmm.
or just being with somebody, but lately for me it was in the instance of like conversation.
Yeah. Fair nuance. I get it. I get it. I've done that. The problem is people want to be with me more than you want to be with them. Yeah, and you don't want to be with them. Yeah, it's fair. It's honest. And sometimes some people they will just drain your battery. You know, maybe they're just that way. That is really negative, and it's like a relationship that maybe you shouldn't be a part of, but you have to for a time. Sometimes that's the case, but even in those moments, you can just let yourself relax and say, like, it is what it is. I'll try not to be manipulated, or I'll try not to give in to whatever the negativity is. I'll just let it be. I'm gonna be there for them, and I'm gonna be my best for them. Maybe I'll help them not be so negative. Whatever it is, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, if it all be negative Nancy suddenly, yeah. They want to be around you, and you don't feel relieved at all, of course, because you're just like, you don't want to be there. And I get it. So I think already in that situation, you're already putting yourself out there and you're doing your best. And I think the best thing you can do is just think about them rather than yourself. And it's like, it's like they're being negative. Okay, sure. Give them some pardon space to not be perfect. No one is. And they're always this way anyways, right? And so you just got to be like, okay, how can I improve their life just a little bit here? What kind of positive things can I contradict them with? And how can I be in their moment and not celebrate the negatives, but celebrate that we're together? And if you can have those thoughts, awesome. If those thoughts are too much for you to think about all, then I think the baseline is to just bear it, honestly, and then think about it afterwards, and think about, what am I going to do next time? What am I going to do next time that they start doing that, and then move from there? Because sometimes in the moment it's too much to think about. So maybe journal, maybe figure out, like, okay, how do I counteract their negativity? Is there a game plan I can come up with so the next time they start doing that, I have something to respond with. I have something in my tool belt to use and see how it goes. And maybe it won't work, but then I'll know next time, okay, different tool. What else can I come up with? You know, and you don't want to really treat relationships like that all the time. Sometimes you have to. And if you have to, you have to. Otherwise, it just gets worse. And you not only does it get worse for, like, everything gets worse. Mind and the way that you treat it and the way you feel about being with them and around them and so on and so forth. So yeah, sometimes that's how it goes. But I think general key is let yourself intentionally be with them. And if you have intention of being with them, your mind is a lot clearer oftentimes to be able to interact with them on a level that maybe helps them, compared to those thoughts that keep on entering, like, I don't want to be here, I'd rather be somewhere else, whatever, right? Because if those thoughts start coming in, you don't have room in your brain anymore to really give them anything of benefit and help guide them to maybe stuff. So intentionality is, I think, one of the best and biggest steps. And then from there, unfortunately, if you want to make the relationship better, there might be involved. And if you don't feel like it's worth your time, then this will be what it will be. And to be honest, some people are set in their ways, and there's nothing you could do. And you will never change them. And that's what it is. Some people accept you into their lives and that special experience that allows them to be changed. Some people won't, and if they won't, then the answer's just there. That relationship is not progressing, never will, and that's okay. You don't need to invest your time into it, but it still is a good habit to be there with them when you're with them, to be honest with yourself and make yourself a person who can not only endure, but be the kind of person that loves and makes sacrifices, regardless of however they're going to treat it, regardless however they might use you, whatever. Continue to be that person is strengthening for the people in your life that will receive you and be changed by you. Because you're going to be all the more better at that because you had these other experiences. So I'd say sometimes other people are like a wall, but you can still play tennis with a wall, and it is good training. And so that's what I have to say about that. And I honestly hope that's at least a little bit encouraging and lifting, if nothing more. And you might already be doing that. So it is what it is. Just keep up. Yeah. Now, do you have any final thoughts, things you want to add before we close the stream down? By the way, thank you so much for the stop. Yeah, go on.
Yes. Looking at some of the stuff Nansai has here, in some cases, like when intentionally being with them, like you might need to not just let them keep talking for like ever, basically. Like, you know, intentionally be with them for like the appropriate time that like you feel is right based on what you have going on, or like
That's right.
how the person's making you feel. But then like, you know, you're there, you're focused on them while you're there, but then when you feel it's time for you to go, then like, you know, be like, hey, I've got stuff to do, or like, hey, it was good talking to you, but I'm gonna go now. Like, you know, like intentionally be with them, but don't let it just, you know, still like, you know, prioritize yourself too, and don't just let it go on forever and ever whenever like you don't want to be there for like that long.
Yeah.
Like intentionally be with them but have boundaries, I guess, is a good way to put it.
Sure. And it's kind of like, you know, I was saying before, it's not wrong to think about yourself. That priority is important. And it's not even necessarily a balance act of how much you think of others versus how much you think of yourself, and it's just how you think about it and whether you commit yourself to others or not, right? It's like, it's not wrong to think about yourself and figure out what's good for me, because what's good for you is good, period. Okay? What's good for others is good for them, period. And to find ways that you can have something that's good for everybody, that can include removing yourself, by the way. If someone's going off in a negative spiral and you recognize, if I just leave, they'll stop talking and they'll stop like having someone give them constant feedback to their negativity and making it worse for them. Like, if I just remove myself, things will calm down like a little bit better. I won't be a tool for them, right? Sometimes people are using you, and if you're a tool, removing yourself is the best thing to do, because you're accidentally, it's not you, but they're training themselves on you to continue being a worse and worse person. So it is not a good idea to dispose yourself completely and just like ignore yourself. You want good. Good is the goal, and good can be for you and others. So how do you produce that? That's how you should live. I would say don't worry about the balance of like, well, I've thought myself this amount of time, you know, this amount of times or this long today, and now I have to think about this for other people, you know, and give them. It isn't really about that. It's just the good you can produce. And so focus on that and attempt to achieve that. And don't expect to always achieve it, but just shoot for it, you know? And that's a little bit easier than trying to figure out what's the balance. Because honestly, there probably isn't one. You're important. You're really important. And you're also the only one you get to control. So pay attention to you. Don't forget about yourself. And make, you know, make yourself good for others and for yourself and for the world and the environment, everything. And as you pursue that, it'll be easier and easier, should be easier easier. Think about others, and they're good. Because yeah, that's just how it goes. So yeah, um, yeah, you're right on, Young Vios. Absolutely. Sometimes you have to just kind of be like, yeah, I got some stuff that I need to do today. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, couldn't be about ignoring yourself.
one last thing, like in like thinking about others more, not focusing so much on yourself. In a situation like being out in a crowd of strangers, if you're focusing on yourself, you might be thinking that everyone around you's judging you, you know, thinking about a bunch of stuff about you, and you might feel like self-conscious. But like if you're focusing on others, then those thoughts aren't there as much, and the
Yeah,
experience is more enjoyable.
that's so true.
So, like, that's a benefit, I guess,
Oh yeah,
to
agreed.
thinking about others more.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of times we think, what are other people thinking about us? And 99.999% of the time, they're not thinking about you. They're thinking the same thing. What do others think of me? You know, like most people aren't thinking about you. So to ask the question, like, what do others think of me? You know, how do they think about me? You know, are they laughing at me? Most of the time, the answer is no. You're up in your head. You're making everything about you. It's not. They're just doing the same thing in their own head, probably, making everything about them when it's not. They don't have a room in their head to think about you. Most people don't. And if they are, I mean, there's not much you can do about it. So what does it matter what they're thinking? Um, just be the best you, and then they'll think about you however they think about you. Hopefully, it's good, but in the end, those are their thoughts, and you don't really have too much. You can just be the best you and be satisfied with that. And that's what I recommend. Yeah, because you're right. I've definitely been there for a lot of years in a row when I was going through high school, middle school, elementary. I was having those thoughts, like, you know, very self-negative and worried. Like, I'd be like at a festival or something. There's people all around me, and I'm thinking like, oh, you know, probably look at me like this, and they probably think I'm stinky and I look stupid and blah blah blah, you know. And then the reality is, not a like single person was concerned about such things, you know. And I came back later and talked to some people, and I found out later I was like so deluded. I was like, I went through all of elementary, middle school, and high school thinking everybody hated me. Like, yeah, I have very few friends. Most people don't want anything to do with me, and a lot of people despise me, and they'd be happy to pick on me and stuff. And yeah, I did get picked on. But like at the end, like a couple years after that, I talked to some people, and they're like, dude, what? No, I thought everybody loved you. What are you talking about? Like, and this was like strangers, people that were like I was not friends with in high school. And they're like, dude, what do you mean? I was under the influence that you were like beloved by like everybody. And I was like, what? No, everybody hated me, man. And you were like, no, dude, nobody hated you. They just thought you were some weird guy, but like nobody hated you. Like they just, I never heard anybody say anything bad about you, Ryan, ever. I was like, no one talked about you behind your back. Like you were just a dude, you know? And I was like, oh wow. Like that really, like to hear that really changed. Like it really set it in. I was like, wow, yeah. So much of what I thought was my experience was all created in my head without anybody's permission about what they were actually thinking. I just assumed everybody hated me because I don't know why. I don't even know how that began, but it wasn't good. It wasn't healthy. So, if that's what you're experiencing, there you go. Yeah. Anyhow, yeah. I guess that's a subtopic, but that's a good topic. Um. Anyways, any more words before we close it down?
Nope, that's it.
Cool. Hey, thank you so much for being here with us. everybody in the chat, and especially you, Yanglios, my Anglios, for, for being here today, for subbing for Joe, filling in and sharing some of your thoughts and wisdom with us today, some of your experiences. And yeah, I really appreciate that. So thank you for stepping up. I really am happy that every time, basically, you always step up. I really appreciate that. I know I can rely on you. But that's
Thank
not to
you.
say you always have to, and that's your job from now on. I don't want you to feel like, oh, but I have to now because he said that. No, I don't want to force you to it, man. But I'm just really thankful. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
Also, thank you, Anonymous, for the topic.
Yes, thank you, Anonymous, and also thank you, Moonlit, for the earlier topic. Thank you, Yozua, for some topics, and my wife for some topics. Wix, you've been amazing. Appreciate everybody, and I hope that everybody has an incredible rest of their week, and we'll see us again on the next Don't Worry Wednesday. Yes. Until then, we really appreciate you guys. We hope the best and the greatest of all in the world for you guys, and we love you. And we'll see you next time.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
See ya.